In the 8th century, King Midas ruled the ancient kingdom of Phrygia with an uneven hand. He was known in Greek mythology as the rogue ruler whose antics confused his people and distracted the gods. He had everything a king could wish for. He lived in luxury in a great castle, he spoiled himself and his beloved daughter, and gorged himself on feasts and wine. Unsurprisingly, he felt attraction with Dionysus, god of wine, carnival, and performance. One day, Midas discovered a satyr sleeping in his rose garden, and drunk on more than the scent of flowers. Midas recognized the satyr as one of Dionysus' followers and let him nurse his hangover at the palace.
What are you doing inside my palace?
My apologies, sir. I must have fallen asleep. I didn't know where I was. Please do not punish me.
No, you must be hungry. Come, you can wash and eat inside.
Pleased with the king's hospitality, Dionysus offered to grant him one wish. Midas cast a greedy eye over his surroundings. Despite the luxury in which he lived, no amount of precious jewels, fine as silk, or splendid decor felt like enough. His life, he thought, was lacking luster. What he needed was more gold.
King Midas, in exchange for your kindness to my friend, I will grant you one wish.
I hope that everything I touch becomes gold.
The god sent the power to turn anything the king touched to gold surging through Midas. Thrilled, he turned to his possessions. At his lightest touch, the palace walls transformed. Stone statues shone, and glasses glittered. He galloped through his home, handing each item until it took on a shimmering luster. Soon the palace heaved with gold, and Midas's high laughter echoed off the walls. Exhausted from his rampage, Midas picked up a bunch of grapes from his newly gold fruit bowl. But he nearly shattered his teeth, for the fruit had turned to metal in his mouth. When he picked up a loaf of bread, the crumbs hardened in his hand. Lunging himself into his bed in frustration, Midas discovered his plush pillows had morphed into solid gold. Hearing his cries of frustration, his daughter entered the room.
Father, what's wrong?
My daughter, how can I eat? How can I sleep? When I lay my head on my pillow, it turns to gold.
When Midas reached her, he saw with horror that he had frozen her into a golden statue. Horrified at what he had done, Midas begged the gods to get rid of his power.
Change her back.
I can't.
You killed her.
No, you did. I only granted you your wish.
I take it back. Please change everything back.
Go to the river Pactolus. Its water will wash away the gold.
Shame on the foolish king. Dionysus told Midas to wash his hands in the river Pactolus. When Midas reached into the river, the gold drained from his fingertips. Midas turned home to find his daughter alive and his palace back to normal. Then he rejoiced.
Do you see now the dangers of greed?
I do. I promise. I will never want for anything again.
You'd think he would have learned his lesson, but just a few weeks later, Midas tripped again, insulting the music and song god Apollo when he declared Pan a greater musician.
I see the problem. It's your ears. They are too small to hear properly. Let me fix that for you.
Apollo mockingly declared that the king must have the ears of a donkey to make such a misjudgment, and transformed Midas accordingly. Once again, regretting his behavior, Midas kept his hairy ears hidden in public. They were only seen by his barber, who was affirmed to silence during a very awkward grooming session. Barber hid his laughter and felt the desire to tell someone, yet the secret consumed him. One day, he walked outside the city and dug a hole in the ground. Plunging his head into the earth, the desperate barber whispered,
Midas has donkey ears.
Soon after, a bunch of stalks sprang up in the spot where the barber had buried his words. When the wind blew, they carried the echoes of his whisper through the breeze.
Midas has donkey ears.
At the sound, donkeys in the fields raised their heads in recognition, and people chuckled to themselves at the foolishness of their king. With his golden touch and donkey ears, Midas was not the most respected ruler. And where other rulers were honored through statues and temples, his people remembered him a little differently. In the depth of the glittering river and the rustle of the Phrygian wind.